All right, so thanks everyone for coming. I'm glad to see new heads, people I've seen before. Who is the first timer at Paris API tonight? Cool, nice. So as opposed to previous meetup, we're changing a bit the format, as you can see. So far we've been doing talks, regular talks, like as you can see at any meetup. But we found the format not so much interactive. And we were running out of topics. And on the other side, we have very cool people like our guest tonight who can speak about very nice topic around the API. And so we decided to give it a try. We don't know how far we could go, but we have plenty of ideas and topics we could cover. So it's the first panel tonight. So feel free to share feedback with us at the end. I'm running this meetup with Shubham, who cannot be here tonight. Shubham is working at Keymetrics, a company which is not far from here. You may know it from PM2, now the GS process manager. And so we're running it on a monthly basis. We're going to cover different topics every month. We're going to have different guests and everything around the API. We're not going to cover only technical topics. We may cover topics like API and community, API and documentation, API and monetization, API and SaaS, API and whatever we could imagine. So that's a very broad topic. We want to welcome non-technical people as well. So that's the beauty of the API topics. We can cover larger topics. My name is Arnaud, by the way. I'm working at Sqreen. We are building a security automation platform. I can tell you more after that. That's not the topic for tonight, but yeah, we're doing cool stuff around security and API, which is going to be our next topic next month. First, I want to thank Bluecoders for having us tonight. Where's Christophe? He's here. Bluecoders, all the team tonight. You can see we have a very cool setup, very comfy. You guys are all set? It's a very cool venue. Plus, it was a last-minute notice. I met Christophe last week, and with Amanda, they accepted to host us, to support all the meetup. We have a very good video recording that the guys are still fine-tuning. Thanks, William and Flavio. So thanks to them. It's a very cool venue, and I'm glad that we have companies like yours to support us in Paris.
Thank you for coming.
And obviously, thanks. Thanks everyone for joining tonight. It's not always easy to spare a night to attend a meetup. We have three nice guests tonight. We have François Faunel, who's leading ops at Mailjet. So Mailjet is a email platform that covers both marketing and transactional email. So basically all you need for email can be covered by Mailjet. Quick disclosure, I used to work there before. So I know Mailjet a bit. We worked almost 2 years ago, 2 years together with François. We have Emile, who work on Containous and Traefik, representing Traefik tonight. Traefik is an open source Go project, which is a reverse proxy. So we're going to cover a bit this part of what it takes to build an open source project with performance and scalability in mind. And finally, we have Sylvain from Algolia, who's leading engineering since almost the beginning, right? Yes. So 3 very cool companies and people tonight, and we'll cover plenty of nice topics. Do you guys want to intro yourself a bit? Who are you? What have you done before? What's your relationship with performance? You have a mic? Sylvain, you want to start?
I can definitely start. So I joined Algolia 4.5 years ago as the first employee. I'm currently VP of Engineering. Before Algolia, I was a C++ developer. The current search engine at Algolia is actually C++ based. Today, my focus is not anymore so much related to code, but to scaling the engineering team. We are about 60 people.
Okay, so I created Traefik almost 3 years ago. And at the beginning, it was a side project that I open sourced on GitHub. And then finally, it's got quite some success, I created a company, and now we are 10 people working full time on Traefik, and yeah, I'm not doing any code so much today, neither. So yeah.
And you have a very cool logo that you can see on the T-shirt. I love it.
Yes, I'm not a developer either, so it's interesting. We don't have any developer now. I'm an ops guy, so I'm trying to help developers at Mailjet, having a great platform to scale their product. And I'm at Mailjet since 2 years. Was at Criteo before. And the big topic for us is really to help the developers being able to achieve performance. And as Mailjet is completely based on an API for the front office and for the clients, public clients, yeah, the API is already the main topic for us.
Cool. We'll touch base on that just after. So thanks, guys. Thanks for sparing a night with us. As you can see, they know a bit about what it takes to build for performance, but we'll dive into that very quickly. So maybe first, can you tell us what performance means in your context? So for you, Algolia, you have a T-shirt at home, which is millisecond matters. So maybe you can explain us a bit what it takes to, what performance means for you guys.
I didn't tell what Algolia is. It's a search engine as a service. So our business is to provide developers an API that they can use to search their content. So when you think about search, you mostly think about Google or Amazon. And what is super important when you implement search is that you make sure that your end users have a very fast search answer. And therefore, while building a search engine as a service, the only thing you want to focus on at the very beginning, at least, is performance. So we did optimize the engine at the very milliseconds level, make sure that every single search query is answered in like a few milliseconds. In average, we have probably answers in like 2, 3, 4 milliseconds, excluding network latency, of course. But that was really the main focus. Also, the unfair advantage of Algolia was that at the very beginning, our CTO built this engine from C++ code to run on a mobile device. So the whole code base has been designed to run on the cheapest Android phone. And back in 2012, when you didn't have any CPU, any memory, any disk on the machine, on the device, of course, you need to rethink how a search engine could work. So yeah, from day one, performance has always been something at Algolia.
As we built a reverse proxy, we are not running any API on our platform, but we are providing some tools to build some API platform. As we build a reverse proxy, we are a key tool in the platform because all the network traffic comes through a reverse proxy in the platform. So from the beginning, performance has been super important in the development of Traefik. And so first of all, we choose the Go language to build this tool because Go is a new language and is performant and also more modern than C. So a lot more. And so it's quite interesting. And now that we have many users around the world, each new features need a lot of tests to be sure that we don't have any regression, and especially in performance, because we have some users that are using Traefik to run very big platform that with a lot of requests per second. So from the beginning, this tool has been built around performance too.
Performance for Mailjet is around how many emails we can send at a time. So it's really important for our clients to be able to send huge campaigns. That's one axis of the performance, and the other one is the latency between the sending and the reception in the inbox. So we have a performance axis where we have to deliver many emails, and another one where we have to deliver fast. When you process something like 100 million emails per day, latency is also important. We just said that before. When you do something 100 million times per day, if you multiply that by 10 milliseconds, it's completely huge in terms of CPU and consumption of resources. So yeah, we have a very big focus at Mailjet to that our API is performant and that our processing engine is performant for our clients.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so we have 3 different experiences here. So we have Algolia, which is a very customer-facing. So whenever you see a search bar today, it may be Algolia. So the experience when you type, you want it to be fast, but for it to be fast, you have to be supported by that engine. I think Sylvain expressed it with good metrics, like we're talking about 2-3 milliseconds to return results. And so the result back to the clients. And François just touched base on it, like being able to send, it's like what, almost 2 billion email a month now we are at Mailjet. So we're talking about a large scale, and it's not only, it's a scale of receiving email, so being able to acknowledge fast, and on the other side, being able to throughput, to send email at speed light as well, because I think we're also touching about 2 things which are search and email, which are, I wouldn't say commodity, but are things where people expect to work. You would not expect any failure on those 2 services, especially email. That's the field I know best. Maybe Sylvain can acknowledge on that too. And so every milliseconds you add, every failure you have on your side is probably going to cost real dollar on your customer side. So performance is directly tied to money and user experience at the end of the day. So it's not only just an engineering topic to who can lower the performance the best, it's also real business behind. So maybe the next question was, but we already touched base on that. We're talking about, so at Algolia, are you eating your own dog food? Are you building APIs that you consume internally, or it's 2 different sets of APIs?
I mean, what is great is that we are building a product that is for developers. So we are developers. I told you we are 60 in the engineering team, almost 200 total. So we are putting ourselves in the same shoes than our customers. That's definitely great in order to make sure that everyone understands what we're building. Then, yes, we use Algolia everywhere. And the thing is, once you start feeling what is a great search experience, you want it everywhere. So I don't know if you heard about what we have released for the community every single Christmas season for the past 4 years, but it has always been something to help everyone else for free enhancing the search. We started with a GitHub autocomplete mod extension, so it's a Chrome, Firefox, and Safari extension that you can install in your browser. It enhanced the GitHub search bar. We provided then a free service to help people having a documentation. For instance, Traefik, we should probably power your search. Power their search so that their users can search the documentation. Last year, we released something to search into videos. So once you guys record that, we are going to power your website with a search in order to search for the content that I'm just saying right now. We have search everywhere, and every single time we see a service without a good search experience, we want to fix it. So both internally and externally, we are trying to eat as much as possible our own search API.
Emile, for you, what kind of API are you supporting? Is it mostly internal API, public API, both, mobile? We didn't touch base on much of that.
Yeah, most of the time we are used to build public access platform, so accessed mostly by application and by users through their browser or by mobile application. So we usually deal with the edge traffic, but we can also be used as a service mesh between multiple applications, as you want. So when you deal with, when you are exposed to public on the internet, you have to deal with a lot of performance issue, and because you have many different, you have spikes in traffic, you have a lot of different things that can happen in security and in performance. So usually we have to deal with that, with these kind of things on public. Yeah.
Maybe yeah, for Mailjet, I know the case, so you have both worlds.
Yeah, Mailjet is built completely around the API, meaning that the website, the web application we provide to our clients is using the API to work. So we created the API first, and then we have a website on top of the API. So it's, yeah, we completely eat our own API for our web developers.
Yeah, what's interesting on that topic for having been there is that the constraints you have on the website are totally different than the constraints that your third parties want you to comply with. So you have people who want to send million email in a batch, which is totally different scale than what you would do on the website. So even if it's the same endpoints, the pressure and the throughput, the performance you expect from the same API are totally different on the two infrastructures.
Completely, and one of the biggest pain points is to be able to serve both worlds. So having one API, be able to test the API for all the use cases and be performant for all the use cases.
Yep. And designing for both worlds is fun stuff as well. Maxime. So I didn't tell at the beginning, but we're going to do small breaks for question. So feel free to stack your question, and every 3-4 questions, we start asking you around. If you have the goal of this format is to be way more interactive. So it's not just broadcasting this way. We want also to have interaction with you guys. So please don't fall asleep. I think there is beer or Red Bull or coffee or whatever can pump you up, but I make sure that everyone stay alive. Also, you can tweet. We have Paris_API. So if you want to share photos, videos, whatever the best format is, feel free to doing it live during the meetup. Maybe, guys, you can just give us an overview of what it takes to build such APIs, like the range cost of the infrastructure, how big is your team, and overall, what are your current challenge and focus? So maybe let's start with the range cost of the infrastructure and the size of your team. François, you have the mic. So.
Yep. So we are today 8 operations engineers and probably like 40 developers on Mailjet. The infrastructure is like 1,000 servers, virtual machines. And it costs around 1 million euros per year. So it's a pretty good scale today. And this year's challenge, we have 2 main challenges, I think. The first one is to be able to build an infrastructure in the US. So today we are completely Europe-based, and our US clients want low latency for their API calls, and also being able to elastify everything. So we put probably 1.5 years migrating from a legacy infrastructure with dedicated servers to a cloud infrastructure at Google Cloud. And so we put a lot of effort into that. And today, what the problem is that we are able to elastify this, meaning that we don't have to provision everything for the peaks. At Mailjet, we have something like a ratio like 20 times the mean traffic is the peak. So it's better when you don't have to have all the infrastructure up and running 24/7. If you can just elastify your API servers or your proxy servers, it's better. So that's the two main topics for us at the operations this year.
Yeah, plus, so to add on François' statements, like you have to imagine the traffic being distributed between Europe and the US. You have a big spike in the morning, so France and Europe sending flat, and again the US sending by the end of the afternoon here. So as he said, like the infrastructure had to handle huge spike, but in the meantime it doesn't do much.
Yeah.
And I think the other constraint you have is that email is such a competitive landscape that the cost and the margin that people benchmark you on are very low. Like, I don't know if you have a benchmark, but think 2 minutes about how much you would pay for 1,000 email, and it's probably not much. So when you put that in perspective with the cost of infrastructure, the challenge of François is to lower the cost while maximizing the performance. So not easy challenge.
So yes, instead of as I said, we don't have any infrastructure on Traefik. So instead, I will talk about one of our biggest user, and it's a US company, a public company that is doing some monitoring, analytics, and collecting data. And they are quite big. There are more than 1,000 employees, I think. And they are using Traefik to manage their incoming network traffic to more than 1,000 servers. I think they are using around 10 Traefik instances, 10 Traefik servers to manage this. And they have around 5 million requests per minute. So that's quite a huge amount of data to manage. So I don't remember the what server they are using to manage this, but they are quite big, maybe hundreds of processors, I think. So this is the kind of users we have with Traefik.
On our side at Algolia, we have one issue, is that search and indexing is really resource consuming. So in order to get the best search performance, you actually need the best machines. And in order to get that, we did that crazy choice of going bare metal. So since the beginning in 2012, we are running Algolia on bare metal servers. So we are not using the cloud. We are not clicking one button to spawn a machine. We are actually installing physical machines. I told you that we have very, very fast search engine, but what matters the most is then the network latency, because this one is not something you can really optimize until you get close to your users. So in order to get close to the users that are using our search API, we have distributed our search engine across the planet. In total, we have 15 regions in which we are hosting about 1,500 machines. They are bare metal, so it's super easy to understand the cost of a physical machine. It goes from 100 euros in France or in the US, where it's pretty cheap, to probably something like 700, 800, or 900 euros or dollars when it's in Brazil, in Singapore, or in India. So if you multiply 1,500 by an average of 300 euros or dollars, you're about a bit less than 500,000 per month. So yes, Algolia is using a heavy, super heavy infrastructure, but that's the way we are able to provide our customers with the most fast and performant search.
Cool, thanks guys. That was the end of the first chapter. So if you guys have questions, yeah, one question here. Can you raise your hand if you have questions? So I know where I should, only one? Cool.
Thank you guys for coming. I came just for this meeting to ask you guys a bunch of questions, and I might be monopolizing the questions. I have lots of questions about indexing in terms of what you're doing. I also have questions about your client in the USA in terms of, are they using AWS government cloud or are they using their own infrastructure? But I'm came here to ask questions about my own projects. So we have multi-million-dollar infrastructure ourselves, but we're concerned about expanding during peak times for API calls to off-put on AWS or some other third-party vendor. That's one question that we're trying to address. The second question we're trying to address is, we're API companies. Should we care about authentication? Should we focus on what we do best, make good machine learning APIs that we're doing, and let MuleSoft handle all our authentication? Should we let Gestalt take care of our scaling and spinning up all of our containers as necessary? That's my problem. Go at it.
Thanks.
Cool.
Deal with that, guys.
I can probably start answering. So for the first one, should you offload your infrastructure to the cloud? That was the question, right?
At peak times.
At peak times. So we are not in the best position to answer that question, but we are still considering right now scaling our infrastructure with an hybrid approach. So having most of the infra on bare metal, because we know that it's there that we have the most and the best performance, and then having maybe some cloud-based replicates that wouldn't use, you know, a lot of disk IOs, but mostly CPUs to actually answer the searches. So probably you should go for an elastic cloud-based approach to handle peaks. Then the second question was more about, should I buy something or build it myself, right? We are a big supporter of buy. Why? Just because you cannot do everything on your end. And what other startups or other companies build is obviously way better than what you can build in-house. What I'm saying to my customers is, it's great to build your own search experience using Elasticsearch or Solr, and you probably have the two best software engineers in California in your team, and that's great. But by using Algolia, you are adding 60 engineers on top of your team. We are not replacing your two top-notch engineers, we are just bringing 60 more. So when it comes to authentication, especially because it's so critical, I would definitely leverage someone that has done that a lot. MuleSoft just got acquired by Salesforce, so I don't know whether it's still the good choice or we want to consider something else. But when it comes to not your core business, you should probably buy and not try to build it yourself. We have done it in the past. We have failed trying to build monitoring. Everyone thinks that monitoring is easy. It takes ages to have something running. Everyone thinks that continuous integrations is easy. Oh, I deploy my Jenkins. Sorry. It's great, but at some point you need to focus where you want to waste your energy, and it's probably not by maintaining a Jenkins or a continuous integration cluster.
Yeah, I cannot agree more on this because I've been working on load balancing and reverse proxy for more than 3 years now, and I cannot agree more that it's super hard to be expert on one thing. So yeah, you should just definitely buy other solutions made by other startups and use it, and that's it. This is way more smart than anything else. Yeah.
Completely agree also. I mean, email is probably super easy to send. Deliver emails is really harder, so that's why you should rely on specialists to deliver emails. We at Mailjet, we are also using Algolia for our search engine in our front office, so we try to aggregate the best of all worlds. In terms of scalability and having systems that are able to respond to your peaks. When you are an API provider, it's not really easy to do that because you can't always know the peak hours where your clients are doing a lot of requests. For us, we have something like a curve that we can anticipate, so we can add more machines when we know we will have peaks. But we have times where it's complicated to imagine what the peaks will be, like in Christmas or Black Friday. when some clients are not dealing with classical patterns. So it's not easy to do. You have to find the good metrics to spawn more machines or reduce your farms, but that's something you have to really invest, because the ROI is completely crazy. Meaning, if you can just shut down your infrastructure, 90% of your infrastructure for the majority of the time, the cost, the ROI is crazy.
Cool. Does it answer your?
Yeah, can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah.
Are you using any machine learning in your scaling? Can you put any kind of ML on top of your dynamic scaling of your?
Just to repeat the question, are you using any machine learning to decide how to scale your infrastructure?
Today we are not at Mailjet, but we definitely are thinking about it, because we can't anticipate everything, and we have metrics that we can put into a machine learning engine, so we'll probably do it in the future.
So this question is probably about Algolia, because before also I will first say that I'm not an expert on data centers or servers or ops, but the previous answer you gave was that you are a huge believer in buying services that other people have done and other people have walked the path and corrected the mistakes and made everything work. So it's interesting that before that you were saying that you do your own hardware. And I'm just wondering, purely out of curiosity, like I'm not challenging that opinion, but Google or Amazon or other, I think Microsoft also, they have these cloud services and probably they have optimized them quite a bit. So I would like to hear like your motivation for building your own infrastructure, because you said that it is because of performance. So how exactly is that?
So first of all, I think if it's your core business, if it's the core product that you're selling, you should really consider optimizing for the cost. That's what we have done. 4 years ago, having the machines that we have today wasn't even possible. Today, Amazon, GCP, and other cloud providers do provide similar machines with those kind of high-end CPUs and SSD, but the cost would be way too much. So you need to think about that. We are not building really our hardware, but we are buying and renting machines, but we are relying on providers, changing the disks, changing the CPUs, changing the RAM. So we are still relying on someone. Was there a follow-up question?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, cool.
Does it answer your question?
Yeah, we can go deeper maybe later.
Yeah, of course, there will be after time where you can discuss further with everyone. So we will have time to follow up.
But it was a good point that like years ago it wasn't an option maybe. I didn't even think of that. So.
Yes, so for the recording, the mention was a few years ago it wasn't possible, so that was one of the biggest reasons